Alrighty. Good evening. My name is Jack Dearborn. This is the March 3rd, 2020 Zoning Board of Adjustment agenda. And we have 4 cases tonight. We have a continued case for case 02-20, and an application for variance. Case 04-20, application for variance 05-20, and an application for special exception, and that is 06-20. Okay, that being the case here, just so everybody kind of knows how we run the meeting here. This evening, we have to have 5 people, and they've asked them for our meeting. Would you introduce yourself, Bobby?
Bobby Joe Palmondan.
Gary Shelto, alternate.
Michael Meyer, member.
Malcolm Wright, member.
Thank you. The way the meeting is run is we'll take each application individually, so there's no overlap. We'll decide on the application, and if we find that there's a reason we can't find, doesn't make sense for us to rule this evening on it, continue it. Or if the applicant requests a continuance because of additional information that he may not have got, we will continue it for cause, and whether it's for us, it'd be like legal, or if it's something for the applicant, it may be some additional information that popped up in terms of requirements during the discussion. What we'll do is, I gotta shut my phone off. What we do is, we first take the application, each application in sequence, and we request a motion to accept the application. Why is that? Because we have a criteria for accepting the case, and we will ask for a motion. I'll ask for a motion, somebody make a motion in a second, then discussion. There's an issue with the contents that we figure is deficient. We can choose to help get some clarification, or we will just dispose of the application if it's not properly filled out. After we've done that, I'll ask for the votes. It requires 3 yeses to get anything passed to the next step. Once we get that done, I will ask the applicant to come up, state his name, his or her name, and then I will ask if the board have any questions before we start the proceedings. Being none, at that point I'll ask the applicant, and this is a key point, those who write a lot get punished by this, because I'm going to ask them to read the question, I'm going to ask them to read the actual answer, because that will be in the record, you reading it. And not everybody at home or anybody else in the audience has your answers to the question. So that's what we ask to do. We'll ask them to go through questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a variance. After that's done and there's no question from the board, I'll ask the applicant to sit down, and then I'll ask the approving abutters that wish to speak on behalf of the application. After we're done with all those folks, they have to come up to the microphone, state their name, and then we'll go through everybody that wishes to speak as a approving abutter. Then I go around and ask for disapproving abutters. After we're done with all those folks, public at large and on the boards. At that point, I will ask the applicant if he or she wishes to come back up again and rebut anything that may have been said. When that's done, I'll ask approving abutters, disapproving abutters, public at large and other boards to speak again, so everybody gets 2 shots. Once we're done, we'll close the public hearing, and then we will move on to vote. In the case of variance, we've got to take each one of the 5 points of hardship. And you need to get, on each one of these 5 points, you need to get 3 yeses. You get 4, we get 2 yeses on one, it fails. That's the point about a variance. Whereas a special exception is just an up or down vote with 3. So with that, why don't we take the first application as case 02-20, And this is to share an access of an existing common driveway with two other lots and build a private road. The property is located on the South Stock Highway, map 412, lot 194, in the rural agricultural zone. Owner is Devon Therian. Common driveway is off Hoyt Mill Road, which is a Class 6. Motion to accept the application?
Move to accept application, or case number 0220.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I will just make a note that we continue this case from last time. And the reason is I had a concern that there was an additional article that needed to be decided on as well, and that's 1711. And I went down and got input from the town attorney, land use attorney, and he concurred that it was required. So we're here tonight. Okay. No, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's 5-0. Alrighty, whoever would like to speak for Mr. Therian, come on down. You at least get to question one tonight.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing.
If you'd read question one, and you just read the highlighted portion.
Number one, the variance will not be contrary to the public interest. Granting both variances to allow access to the three lots, as well as issuing a building permit on a private road, will not be contrary to the public interest, as the proposal will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. The surrounding area already includes single-family homes with access via the common driveway. The proposed design of the lot will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood, but instead will improve the lot's function. Permitting the applicant to improve access while reducing the area of undeveloped land to be affected is in the public's best interest. Furthermore, a shorter, straighter, and much less of an incline access to the property would allow for easier and safer access for not only commercial vehicles, but more importantly, emergency vehicles, especially during the winter months.
Let me just ask a question. Is it warm in here? Could you turn around and hit the down button on that thermometer? Some people still haven't thawed out from January. What is it at?
That's 74 right now.
Put it down at 70.
I don't know if it's
And
in
if
the-
it gets too hot, too cold, we'll pump it back up again. Okay, sorry.
Sure, it's either on.
It's not on.
Yeah, it's not doing anything.
It's
So
not.
it's
Really?
not turned on.
Who's got the,
It's in the town clerk's office.
Want me to go get it, Jack?
Get in
I
there.
have to break through the door,
Oh,
I'm
we can't
afraid.
get in there. You can
Okay,
open-
we'll pop a window
You can
open.
open the top part.
2, please.
Okay, number 2.
Yeah.
Please describe how the spirit of the ordinance is observed. Granting both variances will not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the ordinance. The spirit and intent of the zoning ordinance is best expressed by the purpose of the Royal Agriculture District stated in Article 13.1.2, which states, "That area that is a combination of residential, agriculture, and undeveloped land where greater emphasis is focused on limited density and a more diverse use than strictly residential is allowed." So, granting the variance will allow the applicant to build a single-family home on the lot without having to build a separate driveway and thus improve the site access and reduce the impact of undeveloped land, resulting in a more attractive and functional lot. Number 3. Please describe how substantial justice is done. Granting both variances will result in substantial justice. The surrounding area includes single-family homes with access via the common driveway. Permitting the applicant to build a home through a third lot off a common driveway will cause no harm to the general public. Firstly, the proposed design of the lot will improve the lot's function and thus rather help than harm the general public. Permitting the applicant to improve access while reducing the area of undeveloped land to be affected does not impact the general public. Furthermore, a shorter, straighter, and much less of an incline access to the property would allow for easier, safer, and faster access for not only commercial delivery vehicles, but most importantly, emergency vehicles, which again does not present any harm to the public, but could one day save a life or property. Number 4, please describe how the values of the surrounding properties are not diminished. By permitting both variances, the values of the surrounding properties will not be diminished. Adjoining properties not only have similar residential uses, but are also in favor of this application. Furthermore, building a brand-new home in the area off the private road may actually increase surrounding property values by adding another quality, comparable property to the road. As a result, granting the variance will not diminish the value of surrounding properties. Number 5, literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship. The subject lot is a 22.1 acre undeveloped lot in the Royal Agriculture District. The applicant wishes to construct a single-family home on the subject lot consistent with the current character of the neighborhood. The subject property has sufficient frontage on New Hampshire Route 114. However, to access Route 114 would require, at a minimum, a 1,400-foot driveway with significant grading issues, and I'll repeat, significant grading issues, because of the steep terrain on Route 114 entrance. 5, Subpart I. Owing to special conditions identified above, please indicate how no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purpose of the ordinance and the specific application of that provision to the property. Owing to the special conditions identified above, no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general purpose of the zoning ordinance and the specific restrictions on the property. The proposed third access to the common driveway will further the Royal Agriculture District's goal to protect and safeguard natural resources, environment, and wildlife by using a common driveway and not requiring the construction of, at a minimum, a 1,400-foot driveway on undisturbed land. This will preserve significant undeveloped land which abuts town forest property and land that was set aside for recreational use. 5, Subpart II. Owing to special conditions identified above, please indicate how the proposed use is a reasonable one. Owing to special conditions identified above, the proposed use is reasonable because although the subject lot has sufficient frontage on Route 114, grading issues in the area of Route 114 and the proposed site of the home make adding a new driveway cost prohibitive and destructive to natural resources, the environment, and wildlife. Furthermore, applicant respectively submits that it is safer to use the common driveway. It will not be necessary for traffic flow on Route 114 to be interrupted by vehicles entering and exiting a driveway leading to the applicant's home. Commercial vehicles, and most importantly, emergency vehicles accessing treacherous driveway. Okay. Whoops. Let me start over with that one here. Commercial vehicles, and most importantly, emergency vehicles, would not need to travel over the extended and potentially treacherous driveway leading from Route 114 to the applicant's home. Further, there is no current turnaround or pull-off staging area for emergency vehicles accessing the 2 lots currently served by the common driveway. Allowing access to the subject property via the common driveway would allow for a turnaround and a flat staging area. As a result, emergency vehicles would be able to gain access to all 3 lots in a quicker and safer manner, which in turn, one day, again, could save a life or someone's property. 5B. Please describe the Please describe the special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area. The subject lot is a 22.1 acre undeveloped lot in the Royal Agriculture District. The applicant wishes to construct a single-family home on the subject lot consistent with the current character of the neighborhood. The subject property has sufficient frontage on New Hampshire Route 114. However, to access Route 114 would require a very minimum, a 1,400-foot long and winding driveway with significant grading issues. Owing to special conditions identified above, please indicate how the property cannot be reasonably used in strict conformance with the ordinance, and a variance is therefore necessary to enable a reasonable use of it. Owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, the zoning restriction as applied to the property interferes with the reasonable use of the property. The subject lot has sufficient frontage on Route 114. However, significant grading issues in the area of Route 114 and the proposed site of the home make adding a new driveway unreasonable if the terms of the ordinance were strictly followed. First, the costs required to strictly conform with the ordinance in terms of constructing the driveway and running utility lines would outweigh the property value. Second, strict conformity would require commercial vehicles, and most importantly, emergency vehicles, additional time and risk to travel on a long, steep, and winding road to the applicant's home, especially during the winter months, which could cost someone's life or property, and at the very least would interrupt traffic flow on Route 114. In contrast, the subject property is uniquely and safely accessed by an existing deeded common driveway, which will reduce the need for a long, difficult, and costly driveway to be constructed. And let's see, last but not least, description of the property use. Applicant intends to use the common driveway for access to the subject property and to run utilities from an existing line along the common driveway. The owners of the property currently access the common driveway. Banacos and Ouellette, most affected, are in full support of this proposal. On October 25th, 2019, the applicants entered into a driveway easement with Morris and Jennifer Ouellette of 60A Hoyt Mill Road and John and Elaine Bancroft of 60B Hoyt Mill Road to use a currently used paved driveway. This is known as the common driveway. Access by the Banacos and Ouellettes, given the subject property access to a Class 5 highway, Hoyt Mill Road. The October 25th, 2019 easement expanded and clarified an existing easement granted in the deeds of Ouellette and Banacos, stating that the common driveway applies to lot 412-185-12 Banacos and lots 412-194-1 Ouellette and 412-194, which is now Therian. Thus, it was anticipated the three parcels would share a common driveway, again subject to the town's approval, when the lots were originally subdivided, and the current owners of all the driveways are in support of the applicant's request.
Thank you. Any questions of the applicant? Of the board? I will say that I've been up the property a couple times, and the guy I was with actually had like a site level
Yeah.
that could tell how many feet in 100 it is. And the slope starting from the asphalt going down the hill where you want to go down to get your property, which is your property going down the hill.
Are you talking from the entrance from Hoyt Mill or
No.
from 114?
Where you break off from the existing house, you have a dirt road,
Okay.
dirt driveway.
Yeah, at the bottom?
I don't know who it is.
Okay, yeah, but you're talking off of 114.
No, I'm talking the last, whose property do you want to?
The closest one's the
Sure.
big, so you're coming up from Hoyt Mill, that's where you're talking, where you
No.
graded from
Who's the person you want to hook onto the driveway?
the Banacos and Ouellette's.
Okay. Then from that point
Okay.
down the hill is roughly 10%. You'll see the specification we're gonna apply requires to be free of material, like trees or such like that, 16 feet, and need to have a 12-foot wide, all-season surface, which is usually crushed bank run, 3/4 crushed bank run. And at 400 feet, you'd have to have a 20-foot wide area by 50, so 2 fire vehicles can go past each other.
Yeah,
And every 400 feet, because I don't know exactly where your house is.
it's pretty much right as you level on the top there, but we're gonna be taking a lot of that fill
Yeah.
and pushing it down that hill, and then you see where the other turnaround came across the
Right.
top.
So anyways, I'm just saying, you were required to meet that for life and safety. It's Article 35 in our zoning requirements.
Correct.
And so typically on a private road, that's a minimal requirement that we ask people, we require people to do. And it's principally, this is an issue of life and safety.
Yeah, that's the only reason we're,
And also,
especially, again, when you say life and safety, our biggest concern is the winter months, because climbing from the bottom, it's gonna be very treacherous trying to get up to the top of that thing. No matter how much sanding you do or whatever, it's just so, and it gets steeper as you come around.
I did the topography map, and just using a rough scale, it's averages at 20% slope, which is twice what the town of Ware
Yeah, would,
requires. You can get some exception for some short section, but you've got a 1,400-foot driveway coming off 114, so I can verify your points on that.
okay, thank you.
Good. With that, no other questions? Approving of butters who wish to speak
Thank you.
on this? Okay, being none. Disapproving of butters wish to speak? Being none. Other boards? Public at large, meaning town aware citizens? Being none. Would you like to rebut anything? Probably not. Thank you. Okay. So, I'd ask for a motion on prong one.
Just a question for the board. So by accepting this, or the existing driveway, just to clarify, does that become a private road?
Technically is a private road because it's more than one. The town of Ware allows it in here under the statute. So this being extraordinary, meaning more than what the zoning on Article 4, that only allows you to have 2. So I went down to go figure out if this is really becomes a non-compliant town driveway, and it is. That's why the variance for 4.2, and that's why there's a variance of 1711.
Okay, private road, got it.
Motion to accept?
Move to accept prong one?
Thank you. Okay, second,
Second.
discussion. I have some conditions I'd like to apply to the total case, and this is case 02,
02.
and it is a private road. Let me just fiddle around with this. Okay, this would be. Okay. These are the following conditions. The following are minimum conditions and requirements for variance approval of a residence on a class, which is a private road. Town of Ware's Ordinance 1711. Condition 1, the applicant shall be required to post the necessary signs, that's at Hoyt Mill to the common driveway, okay? Transition to the private. And accordance with the town of Ware road sign policy and consistent with RSA 674-41, D, which is private roads. Required sign wording policy is this road has not been accepted by the town of Ware, or it consists of a class 6 or private road which the town has no duty to maintain. the town assumes no responsibility for maintenance, including snow removal, nor any liability resulting from the use of the street. RSA 624-41. Condition 2, the applicant shall be required to complete a town-aware liability disclaimer and file the liability disclaimer at the Hillsborough County Registry of Deeds and be consistent with 674-41D. Condition 3, the applicant shall take the necessary action to be in practical compliance with the town-aware planning board subdivision regulation for driveway permit requirements and the town-aware zoning ordinance, Article 36. The town-aware public works director shall be the authority implementing the practical implementation of this requirement condition. 4, the applicant shall be required to take the necessary action complying with the E911 signage requirement for proper resident location identification to support emergency vehicles and life and safety. Right now, I think there's a 60A, 60B.
Yeah.
You'll have to put a 60C out on the transition, and you need to have it out where you transition down. Okay? Very good. That's the requirements I'd like to have.
I have it.
You got them all?
Oh, that's the template, I think. Oh, it's this one. Okay.
Okay. Any additional discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain, no, we don't do that anymore. 5-0. 2, please.
Move to accept 2.
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you. Discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. 3, please.
I'll make a motion to accept Article 3.
Thank you. Second. Thank you. Discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. 4,
I'll make a motion to accept 4.
thank you. Second? Somebody want to second that?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
5-0. And number 5.
Move to accept Article 5 in its entirety.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Noes? Being none, 5-0. You're all set.
Thank you.
See Kelly tomorrow, or whenever you wish to. She'll tell you how to process the rest. All righty. Next, we have this is case 0420. And this applicant is Jeremy Lemoff? Good, okay. Address 35 Collins Landing, number 34. Address being the same. The property address location is 45 Sawyer Road. It's lot map, it's map and lot 407-181, residential. The property description, 2.9 acres, residential zone with 205-foot frontage, 740 sidelines and rear, 200 rear. Construct a single-family ranch-style home. Article 17.1, no buildings are allowed in a Class 6. Okay. A letter from the applicant. List of abutters. Tax map. Tax map. USGS quad Deering 9. I guess it's a map off the internet. There's a sketch of the property, driveway permit, warranty deed. looks like a, it's not signed by anybody, but it looks like an excerpt of a,
No, I only gave him the section where the septic was.
okay, well, we only got,
Yeah,
you
I
got it?
got the whole one.
Okay. All right, then.
It's just, I can't make copies like that. Plus $5 a piece, so I'd
Yeah,
have
no
to charge you
kidding.
for it.
Uh-oh. I understand. Thank you.
But
Any
it's here,
questions
you
of the
can
board?
pass it down.
That's it. Oh, we need to accept the application? Motion to accept?
Move to accept application 0420.
Thank you. Second? Second?
Second.
Oh, thank you. Any discussion? Being none, all's favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Whoever would like to speak on this? Come on down.
Been waiting so long.
Your name, please?
My name is Jeremy Lamoth. I'm the owner of the property, and my wife Holly. So read the question first. The variance will not be contrary to the public interest. It's a single-family home that we're proposing to build. It will be within all the required setbacks from property lines and wetland boundaries. And the building will conform to the restrictions as stated in the deed upon the initial subdivision for structure placement. Number 2, please describe how the spirit of the ordinance is observed. The intended building will not affect any public safety or diminish any property values. Number 3, please describe how substantial justice is done. No harm to the public is intended, nor is it possible with the construction of the intended single-family home. The Sawyer Road lots were subdivided as buildable lots, which is evident by the existing homes and the current construction on Sawyer Road. Number 4, please describe how the values of surrounding properties are not diminished. The proposed home will be similar in size, construction, and finish, and surrounding property values will benefit. 5A, please describe the special conditions of the property that distinguish it from the properties in the area. The lot is fairly level with minimal excavation and tree clearing, and there are no specific details that make the proposal any different than what's existing on the surrounding properties. Owing to the special conditions identified above, please indicate how no fair and substantial relationships exist between the general public purposes of the ordinance and the specific application of that provision to the property. At the time that I put the application in, no special conditions were noted. Since then, I've spoken to Benji Knapp, and he had gone up and done the driveway permit. His point of view was that the road was in good shape, considering it's a Class 6 road. There was nothing that he would suggest for the road at this time. Next question. Owing to the special conditions identified above, please indicate how the proposed use is a reasonable one. The lots were subdivided and sold as buildable. The only reasonable use of a 3-acre parcel on Sawyer Road would be to build on. Of the 10 parcels on Sawyer Road, 8 are developed or are being developed at this time.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the applicant? Have a seat, please.
Short and sweet for you.
Okay. Yeah, well, like I said, those are right, long things have to be punished by it. So, I'm not reading it. So, approving of butters, wish to speak on this application? Come on down. Name, sir?
My name is Matt Lamoth. I live at 49 Sawyer Road.
Okay, good thing.
I've been there for 15 years. I built a house there with my wife, Heather. Of those 15 years, I've really been one of the only people on the road that maintains the road in winter. So for me personally, I'm looking forward to having someone who's capable and willing to help out with that task. And he's my brother, so that helps. That's it.
Maybe today, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, you hit upon it where a Class 6 or a private road are not, Class 6 is owned by the town. A Class 5 is owned and maintained by the town. And a private road is like a Class 6, except the town does not own the property. And specifically in this tome over here, this long, this regulation says, 674-41 requires the selectmen to sign off on this. So, you aren't the first people to build on there. I think there's been 3 people there in the last 5 years. So even though we've given the conditions to the previous applicants, you'll still get the same conditions on it. At least I'm gonna make that a requirement. We'll see if the vote is okay for that. So, any other approving of butters? Disapproving of butter? Public at large? Other boards? You wish to rebut your brother? No. Okay, with that said, let's, let me grab my little sheet here. So this is 04. This is a class 6 room. This is a class 6 room. This is a class 6 room. All right. Motion to accept prong 1.
I'll make a motion to accept prong 1.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I'll bring up the same conditions we put on the other one, but I'll read it again. Town of Ware Zoning Board of Adjustments conditions for case 04-20. The following are minimum condition requirements for variance approval of for residents on a class 6 road. Town of Ware zoning ordinance 1711. Condition 1, the applicant shall be required to post the necessary signs at the transition of a class 6 road in accordance with the Town of Ware sign policy and be consistent with the Hampshire RSA 674-41 IC. Paragraph I, subparagraph C. The sign wording will be, this road has not been accepted by the Town of Ware or it consists of a class 6 or private road which the Town of Ware has no duty to maintain. The town assumes no responsibility for the maintenance, including snow removal, nor any liability resulting from the use of the street. The reason we have the sign is when somebody casually comes by to visit you, they need to know they're leaving a town-maintained road. I believe they won't deliver mail there, they won't pick up students up there, a whole bunch of things. And then the next one here is, condition 2 is the applicant shall be required to complete a Town of Ware liability disclaimer and file a liability disclaimer with the Hillsborough County Registry of Deeds and be consistent with the Hampshire RSA 674-41 I, paragraph 1, lowercase c, class 6 road. This one is a case, you go to sell your property, somebody buys it, and after they buy it, they found out that it's a class 6 road, the town doesn't maintain it. The town is protected. So this is a requirement of, this isn't anything we dreamed up, but it's this requirement of this 674-41. 3, condition 3, the applicant shall take the necessary action be in practical compliance with the Town of Ware Planning Board subdivision regulation for driveway permit requirements and the Town of Ware zoning ordinance Article 36. The Town of Ware Public Works Director shall be the authority for implementing and for interpreting the practical implementation of this requirement/condition. Condition 4, the applicant shall be required to take any necessary actions to conform with the E911 signage requirement for proper residence location identification to support emergency vehicle and life safety responses. Okay. Any other discussion? Being none. Article prong 1, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's 5-0. And 2, please.
Would you accept Article 2?
Second.
Second. It wasn't.
Thank you. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. 5-0.
Move to accept Article 3.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Second. Discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. 4, please.
Move to accept Article 4.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0, and 5, please, in its entirety.
I'll make a motion to accept.
5 in its entirety.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second it then.
Thank you. Discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done? 5-0. You're welcome. Okay. Okay, we have,
It was just you.
Yeah. Good night, thank you.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
okay, we have, next one is case 05-20. Is Carolyn Shin, same, property address, 13 Craig Road, and that's off, so it's, tax map, that must be out in the reservoir? Yeah. Tax map lot number, I guess it's, 1077, residential property.
There's actually a typo, I apologize, on the front page, the rest of the application is correct.
What's your mistake?
It's actually lot 8 on tax map 107.
It's lot what?
It's lot 8, not lot 7.
Oh.
I initialed this piece of paper the correction prior to the meeting started.
Okay,
It was
So
just
I'm
the front
sorry, it was
page.
just that one.
good. Have a seat, please. We'll get you up in a minute. Okay, we have property address, subject property consists of 1,883 square feet with the following dimensions: frontage 100 front, 100 feet more or less, sidelines 200 more or less, and 100 feet more or less on the rear sideline. Existing use of residential in a residential zone, no effect to any use by request. Existing use is residential zone. Okay. Why does your proposed use require an appeal to the zoning board? Proposed use requires a dimensional area variance appeal to the ZBA in order to construct the proposed addition closer to the setback that permitted under the terms of the ordinance. Okay. Let's see here. Make sure we got everything in here. 5 points. Signed. Application. Which one is it? A dimensional or area variance? There is no different, there's no, where'd you get
It's the
this,
Same thing.
where'd you get the language from?
So a dimensional variance is just kind of the generic one, and I believe area variance is what's referenced in your ordinance. So it refers to the same thing. In essence, we're looking for a variance to reduce an
Okay.
area.
Let me just, okay, I got that. In the past, there used to be a thing called an area variance or a use variance. They got rid of that. That's why I was wondering where you got the language from.
Yeah, so it's not a use variance, because we're looking to do a permitted use in the zone. It's just the setbacks.
Okay, you got a letter here. I don't know what page it's County of Hillsborough. Is this a deed? What's this?
I think that's what
Oh, that
Attorney
is
Nolan,
my,
yeah.
Huh?
I apologize. My name is Liz Nolan. I'm an attorney for the
Okay.
applicant. That is, in the application, it refers to please see attached documentation. That is my attached documentation that goes through each of the criteria for the variance.
Wait a minute.
I think he's looking at a deed. Did you write a deed?
I'm a little
There is
confused.
a deed in there also. the
Wait a minute, wait a
warranty
minute, wait a
property.
minute, wait a minute. Okay. First of all, gotta get my head straight. Did you fill out the 5 points of hardship?
I did.
Okay, let me go back and revisit that. You did. And now, you felt compelled to do more than that? And you want to read all that?
Well, I did prepare an abridged version for this evening for your convenience.
That's an abridged version?
No, this is my abridged version of the presentation for tonight. I assume that anything written would be incorporated into the record as a part.
You'd have to read it to get it incorporated in the record. That's why I asked if you want to read all this thing.
I think I will go through it. I may not say everything that's in there.
What's your
I'll pick
abridged?
The highlights. This is, may
Is
I
that
approach?
one page or is that multiple pages?
Mr.
And I
Chairman,
did bold my highlights.
the 5
So
points
those are
are filled
really
out
the
as
only
well.
things I need
I got
to
it.
necessarily say.
I'm trying to figure out what
I
he's doing.
highlighted the highlights in here are really my big points. Just, you know,
Well-
we like to get everything in there that we can.
Yeah, I understand that, but technically, you get graded on your 5 points of hardship,
Okay.
period. And this is, some of you think it is interesting, but it may not be relevant. And the reason I say that is because you need to make your 5 points of hardship. It isn't up to the ZBA to figure out which pieces go with each one.
So that document mirrors, and I mentioned it in there, it mirrors how your ordinance lays out, your variance criteria. I did submit the application, your formal application, with it in order as it appears in the statute. That was also infused.
You're gonna have to read every one of these pages.
More than happy
And the
to do
problem
that.
is, and here's the problem, okay? We've run into this many times before. See that question, the variance shall not be contrary to the interest, period, a colon, I should say? Where is it on this piece of
It's
paper?
extremely well explained. In
No, it's
that-
not. Where
in that
is the
document, I would
question?
agree.
No, you're not listening. Where is question 1 in your document?
Look to the next page.
Okay.
All of these highlight, these bolded,
Yeah, but it's
those are the
not,
criteria.
it's not 1.
Wasn't properly keyed.
Okay? See, what I'm trying to say is, this is language prescribed by our town of Ware attorney, okay? We use this for years, and anytime the state changes this law here for what they are, they come in here. And and the reason I have a problem with this is because if we don't understand it, we vote no, okay? I mean, we give the applicant ample opportunity to explain this, and if you have C attached, we expect the first thing before you start talking about a given paragraph, you repeat that question, okay? And there's no way, like that one there, it should be 1, so nobody misunderstands which question that is. See what I'm getting at?
I understand
Okay.
what you're saying. My presentation will be presented in the order appearing on that.
No,
Every-
no, I'm gonna add, no.
Excuse me, sir, please let me finish.
No, please sit down. Please sit down. We haven't started the case yet. We'll see if this goes. My opinion, the application should be done correctly. So there's no confusion of what questions are which question. I like to move that we reject this application.
Just as a discussion point, the application, it is filled out. There are 5 points of hardship with proper answers. And just from reading this, I take this as supplemental material that wouldn't necessarily need to be read tonight. Just by reading the 5 points, I could make a decision off the answers that are in there.
Well, then some night we're gonna get it, you can't decide it. Okay.
Just an opinion.
We will, okay. If you want to go by what's written in these boxes, I have a big problem with this because everybody comes in with their own format. I don't want to sit here and study the format to try to figure it out, to be honest with you.
I agree.
I mean, that's my real concern is because we ask for it done in a very prescribed way. And when this gets deviated from it, I mean, you say, please see it for additional information. Well, I don't know. We shouldn't have to work to figure this thing out. It should come in so I guess what I'm asking is, we'd ask the applicant to go back and refill this out. If all you want is unless all you want us to consider is this in this box, we'll go ahead tonight. Because I'm not gonna struggle with it. Because if I'm called in court to try to explain this, I'm not gonna sit here and try to piece all this together.
Honestly, I can explain this and present it to supplement each one of these boxes with ease. I did this in an accommodation of this board, was my effort, to put the actual addendum items in the same order as your ordinance.
We're gonna-
When I submitted it
please.
for the first time,
You're not helping. I'm gonna I already got a motion on the table to reject this and ask the applicant to come back again. Okay? And we'll waive the policies, whatever the cost is. We need to have this done in a consistent way.
I have to add, because we are at a position right now where we have to first accept the application or not.
Right.
Based on its completeness. I would say that you've crossed all your Ts and dotted all your Is. Very nicely done. But you didn't stick with our format. And the one thing we have, I don't think you realize, is that if we have everybody that applies put up their own format, we're constantly trying to translate it. And see attached can be a lot more difficult than it sounds.
Well, if it
Having said that, let me
had the
just-
question
Let me
on
just
there.
finish. I'm almost done. I do think it's complete. I think I can struggle through it. But we need to fix our process because this has happened before and it stretches things out.
It's extremely ambiguous.
Pardon?
It's ambiguous based on the way that your ordinance is
I
phrased
understand what
versus
you're
what your
saying. We don't need
application is.
to argue.
It's extremely confusing.
I've basically made my point. We don't need to argue.
Well, we haven't accepted it yet, have we? So let me retract my motion and put it into a motion to accept. Could we have a motion to accept this application as written?
Move to accept the application as presented.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion?
Can I
No.
say anything?
No, we're not even,
I'm sorry.
technically, we haven't started the meeting yet. Okay, we just get to
Like I
accepting this
said before,
application.
I could struggle through it.
All those in favor of continuing with the application, say aye.
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 Opposed? Me. Somebody else will go down there. Well, now, are you going to take each one individually
Yes,
and try to associate which language you want and speak to it?
yes.
Okay? Whoever wishes to do the presentation?
Would you like me to go first and then, okay. Again, my name is Liz Nolan. I'm an attorney with Nolan Law. I'm here this evening with the property owner, Carolyn Shin. I'm also here with Dan Higginson with Higginson Land Services, who can present with regards to the plan and any topographical or specific information on the property that you need with regards to building. So to begin, with the first criteria, the variance will not be contrary to the public interest. To be contrary to the public interest, a variance must unduly and in a marked degree conflict with the ordinance such that it violates the ordinance's basic zoning objectives. The New Hampshire Supreme Court has given us two ways in which to evaluate whether granting a variance will be contrary to the public interest. One way to determine whether granting a variance would violate basic zoning objectives is to evaluate whether it would alter the essential character of the locality. Another approach to determining whether the variance would violate basic zoning objectives is to examine whether granting the variance would threaten the public health, safety, or welfare. In this case, the proposed variance is not contrary to the public interest because it does not unduly and/or in a marked degree conflict with the ordinance such that it violates the ordinance's basic zoning objectives. The subject property lies within a residential zone. Under the terms of the ordinance, single-family dwellings are permitted by right in residential zones. The proposed addition shall be an enlargement of the existing single-family dwelling on the subject property and shall be used for the same residential dwelling purposes as the existing dwelling. Additionally, it'll be of a modest size such that the proposed total square footage of the dwelling is reasonable and consistent with surrounding dwellings, and it shall be constructed in the same style and/or appearance as the existing dwelling, said style being cohesive and similar to surrounding residences and structures. For these reasons, the proposed addition is consistent with the subject property's residential zone. Similarly, the proposed addition is consistent with the essential character of the locality. The locality surrounding the subject property is residential in nature and by zone. The locality consists of other residential dwellings varying in size, but generally 2 to 4 bedrooms in size with 1 to 3 baths. The proposed addition is consistent with the essential character of the locality because it is a residential structure located in the residential zone, and the proposed size of the addition and subsequent expanded dwelling is similar to many of the surrounding dwellings in the locality. Additionally, the proposed structure shall aesthetically appear consistent with the existing dwelling, which is cohesive in style and appearance with other surrounding dwellings and structures. Further, it shall be used exclusively for residential purposes, which is an entirely consistent use with and appropriate for the residential zone in which it's located. So for these reasons, the proposed addition and resulting expanded dwelling is consistent with the essential character of the locality, which goes to the first prong, that it will not be contrary to the public interest.
Wait a minute, I'm lost, to be perfectly honest here. Are you on, which question are you on? 1?
1, the variance will not be contrary to the public interest. On the addendum, that appears as item number B.
Okay. I kept making my point. Wait a minute. Number 1, the question is, variance will not be contrary to public interest? Is that what you're answering?
Yes,
Okay,
That's what
and
I'm
where
answering.
in here would that be? Just please come
I'm
up and
sorry?
point to it. You're supposed to be doing question 1.
I am doing question 1. It appears as B. Granting the variance will not be contrary to the public interest.
Different language.
Actually, it's consistent language with the.
This is our
addendum.
attorney,
I'm sorry?
okay? Our attorney came up with this language. So you're saying this is 1?
Yes.
Okay. Just so I get a map, where's 2?
2 is E. The use contemplated by the petitioner as a result of obtaining this variance will not be contrary to the spirit of the ordinance. So that is a reworded way of saying, please describe how the spirit of the ordinance is observed.
Again, I go back, we're granting a variance to different language than we do. So 2 is what?
E,
As in Edgar?
yes, as in Edgar.
Okay. Was I the only person confused in that? See everybody else shuffling around. Okay, what is number 3?
Number 3 is D, by granting the variance, substantial justice will be done, which is, please describe how substantial justice is done. So that is E. At the top, it's page 7 of 8, if that helps.
I don't have any pages.
It's at the very top in your header,
In the left-hand corner of your page number.
page 7 of 8.
Okay, where's 4?
It is on page 2 of 8, item A. The value of surrounding properties will not be diminished as a result of the granting. And then 5 appears on page 4 of 8 as C.
Wait a minute. 5. That's on page 4 of 8.
Yes.
I can't believe anybody else wasn't as confused as I was. Thank you for allowing me to do this.
No problem. And again, I would reiterate that this is exactly how it appears in order in your
Yeah, I know,
ordinance.
but
And that
this
is
is our
confusing.
application.
I
that we
understand
Ask
that.
people. You can have a problem, talk to my attorney.
I'm happy to do that.
Okay, so where is 5?
That
A,
is on page 4 of 8.
5A?
Yes.
Is it
Hang
the
on.
top or is it C?
I am just gathering it. It's C, page 4 of 8.
Okay, and now where's 5II? Is that
It's
I?
all within, so 5, criteria 5 stretches from page 4
Yeah, but,
through page 7.
okay, but where's, did you answer I? Lowercase I?
Yeah, it's all in there.
Well, you mean, we'd have to fish it out, what you're saying?
I'm more than happy to read it.
Well, you can read it, but I don't know where it goes. We're required
It's a
to,
description of the unique characteristics of the property.
owing
So
to the
if you
special
look
conditions?
straight to here, I mean, your criteria 5AI with the special conditions attached, we can do 5I simply off of this if that's easier for you.
Well,
as opposed to
until
the-
you show me where it is, I would have no idea. Show me where 5.1 is, 5A1. Do you have that segregated? Then we're gonna ask for 5.2A2.
Yeah. So the 5A1 appears as C1. And it appears as the first 3 paragraphs under there. It goes into great detail on the unique features of the property.
Now, what page are you on?
I am on page 4 and 5 of 8.
Okay. 5A1, is that
So
number 1?
C1, the first 3 paragraphs, all speak to 1.
Do you know where she is? So where is 1, that is 5A1?
So that is 5A1.
Oh, so it's
And
down here.
5A1 goes there and there. And
And
it's
where?
the next 2 paragraphs, and so a cutoff would be there.
Okay. Where's B? 5B?
Five B would be the remaining 2 paragraphs of that same page 5 of 8.
So the last 2, this is 5B, and where's 5, what's the other piece?
So I did complete both sections of 5, so one is in the alternative. So I have 5A and 5B written in here.
So where's 5B? It says see attached
So
document.
the 5B, it would be the same information seen on 5, on the first one, on A1, because it's a description of the special characteristics of the property, and that's just a more or less regurgitation of that.
Okay, I'm not being a pain. I knew I couldn't figure out what you were. And I look at everybody else shuffling too. This is why we want these things reworded. It's too hard, and if I have to go down and explain this to my attorney, thank God, I hope I don't lose my little notes here. So that's my irk.
I
you know.
felt with his point that without
that booklet, the application was complete, each point without the added,
Yeah,
without C
but I'll be honest
attached
with you. In
documentation.
regards to the attorney, she wanted to have additional discussion. And if she really wanted that, it should be in the way we could actually extract
Right.
it. I mean, that's my, hate to be a pain. I'm an engineer by trade. Follow things, you don't ever get caught up, so. Okay.
So do you have to have
No, she doesn't have
reading
to,
of
but,
the attached documentation?
yes, yes.
You have to read it.
Well, I'm telling you, we're gonna straighten this out because I've always stopped them before. I mean, I gotta be honest, if I took my time, I could probably figure this out, but not without the index card she provided.
With all due respect, I am in no way trying to frustrate this board in
No,
any
you're
way,
not.
shape, or form.
We
This
shouldn't-
is
I'll be
just my
honest with you.
profession, and I do everything very much by the book, and I try and do everything in order to make it easy for the board. Now, if you believe by looking at this that I can go through this at the 5 points, and I would request that my written information be integrated into the record as is often
gotta read it.
custom. No, anything written can be included in the record, and I would request that for convenience of this board and just to diffuse the frustration that I can clearly feel is going on. I'm happy.
Well, you can see it going on
I'm
because,
happy to go through just the simple form, and if you have questions, you can ask me at that point when I can look over to the supplemental information. I think it would all be kind of solved if we could make everything that's written just a part of the record, just for a formality, and my presentation can be very simple, clean, to the point. I know the property very well, Dan knows the property very well, and if you have questions or you feel as though one of the points needs additional explanation, I can go that route.
you just made a point for me at the beginning. Why don't you continue however you wish to go, and we can make a decision at the end of this. I mean, literally, I mean,
Well, ultimately, I am looking to have a productive meeting with this board, and I don't want the board members to go into this being really frustrated with me when I'm really acting as an attorney, trying to be the best advocate.
I
for my
understand,
client.
and I'm not disagreeing with your intent. I'm just disagreeing that this is supposed to be easy, so we don't have to be lawyers to figure this out.
And we can agree to disagree, but your ordinance is pretty vague. It should be mirroring what your application is, and I just want to throw that out there again because my intent was to give a complete application that shows all of the details that this board is entitled to know before anything happens on this property. I don't want you guys to not be informed as to what's going on there, or I come in unprepared, but I'm happy to just go through the abridged, and if you have questions, you can stop me after each point if you need to, or go from there.
Would you like to start over on one?
Sure.
Make it clean so we know?
Let me do that. Let me start off with one again. Again, I invite you guys, if you have any questions, please interrupt me. And I'm happy to embellish on everything. As you can see, I have a lot of information on each point.
Before we start, excuse me, I should have probably done this. Do we understand what's being asked? This is a discussion point for you if you wish, or
Oh,
your.
yeah, sure.
I want to make sure
It's the short version.
that we'd like to know what you're asking for, so we're not
Can I do this one,
confused.
Dan?
There's page 3, there's a diagram. Then there's something that looks like tax map. Have we got, was there something you wanted to make sure we had in this meeting?
The minutes from the,
No, we want something, oh, I'm sorry, yes, you did say it was minutes. What is this? Let me just hand this out. Do you have a copy of this?
I'm not sure what that
This
is.
minutes of
from
the
the Pisgah.
Piscataqua. You got it?
I have that.
Okay. So it's just one page?
yes, is it two-sided? I don't have a copy of these. It's just a blurb of the minutes from the Piscata group.
So where should we be looking at this?
It's highlighted down the bottom, under Carol Shin, 13 Craig Road,
Oh.
second to the last.
Shoreline
paragraph.
permit. Because of the after-the-fact nature of the status, section 4 of the application. Do we have the application? Should be corrected. Was this an application to Piscataquag River?
No, wetland,
Shoreline permit application.
Okay, do we have that with us?
right here.
I actually have the
He's got the permit.
approval.
Oh,
From
whatever, I
Shoreline.
mean, I just wanna, I wanna know where,
We can bypass the application and go right to approval.
That's right.
okay, now, yeah. Section 4. The application should be corrected to check the middle box.
That was their opinion, clearly not DES's opinion.
Show me where you think that is on this.
It's not on either of those pieces of
I didn't
paper.
think so. Okay. So,
Can, now
They
I'm-
had comments.
Yeah,
that
I'm just-
really didn't hold any water.
well, I'm just saying, this is the piece of information that was
Sure.
given to us. I want to make sure that we review it. Should be corrected to check the middle box to make the property more nearly conforming. Additionally, section 7, the correct reference line elevation of 269 should be inserted. This is just your application.
That is the approved permit.
Approval, I mean, this, so there's an application that's
of
not here
which
before
got
us?
submitted to the state and they approved. And the state also got a copy of those.
So we don't have
minutes.
the middle piece.
It's, she has
I
it
have
right
the
there.
application
Oh,
right
she has
here.
it.
But I'm just trying to figure out, are you complying with their recommendations?
No, because their recommendations aren't correct.
Their recommendations are not correct?
Right there.
Please demonstrate that with that document right there.
Their opinion of what should have been checked on that application was wrong.
Okay, just, I mean, just take the application and just show us.
These are the checkboxes here that they're talking about.
Section 4, is that section, yeah? And they're saying the second and third one should be done?
I believe so.
More nearly conforming.
The middle box is what they're talking about. The shoreline permit application includes proposal to make the structures and/or property more nearly conforming. What does that mean?
If you have a property that's non-conforming and you do something to make it more
You
conforming.
mean like the size of the lot?
No.
Okay.
Well, if you have a building, so shoreland, all your buildings need to be 50 feet from the water's edge. So if you have a building that's 48 feet from the water's edge, you want to tear it down, move it back.
I get it, I understand. So the setback should be,
Has nothing to do with shoreland. The setback that we're talking about, the 50-foot setback, yes.
okay. And then what's the other one here? Section 7, the correct reference to elevation. That's just a note?
So I started out this plan as a septic design. I used an assumed datum of 300 for my first point. And all the work was done based on that assumed datum. They ask in that form the actual sea level elevation of Horace Lake, which is on a chart that the state provides. I took that number from the chart the state provides and put it in the application. It does not match what is on the plan, but it does not need to. Normally, I would have it match, but because this project had already started as a septic, which doesn't involve that elevation, I didn't do it that way.
Well, did you do this application?
I did.
So it says 659, you're saying that's correct? We're-
659 is the correct the correct elevation of Horace Lake.
And you're saying that 269 is incorrect?
Yes.
I understand. I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah, it's an assumed datum, so when I go out there and do a septic design, I don't take the actual sea level elevations.
I understand.
And that was where this project started.
You understand that? Okay. I got it now. Thank you. All right. That would have come up in other boards. I just wanted to get it out of the way.
And just to clarify, along with this, there was an application and an acceptance. So,
That's the application.
That's the application, and that letter is the acceptance.
so all business with the Squattaquag River Local Advisory Committee is complete.
And the state of New Hampshire is all done and complete. We have all our permits from them.
Okay.
Can I have that? You want your approval back, or is that a copy?
That's a copy for the board.
I'll take it.
You didn't get one?
No, I didn't.
Really?
Yeah, I
Did
mean,
I lose
online
it
I did,
already?
but not a hard copy.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay. Craig Road. So on here, what is it you want to do?
So we want to add a 16 by 22 addition to the north side of the building,
Yeah, got it.
which will leave it 11.2 feet from the sideline setback, where 15 feet is what's required. Due to the angle of the lot versus the angle of the building,
Yep.
31 square feet of the
Yep.
proposed addition will be over. So the front of the building, as it, the side of the addition closest to Horace Lake will be completely within the setback. The rear portion, as you go back towards Craig Road, will angle into the setback. And on my zoning board exhibit, that the detail on the bottom shows the hatched area of the proposed.
Existing?
So the shaded area is the portion of the proposed addition that will be, that we're seeking relief for.
Could you point that out, please? Just so I got this here, which is the request. What's this here?
That is the existing.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, now, just so we can get this technically down, we usually write, yeah,
It's right here.
okay, I
This
got
is
it.
what
Oh, that's different than what I got here.
That's what we submitted.
Well, this is what I get in the plan. How close do you want to be to the boundary? I mean,
11.4 feet.
so we say no closer than 11 feet, you'd be happy?
Absolutely.
We always do it in that language, so. And you're pretty certain where the boundary is you did the surveying?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Because we have people coming back sometimes saying, whoops.
No, there was a reference plan of the area that I tied into. It wasn't the best reference plan in the world, but I got it all worked out, so we're confident that that's what we need.
Need the
No, I didn't see
full
that.
version.
Ah.
It's got the actual.
That's what it says. Is that in the package?
I believe what you have is those are one and the same.
Not the whole plan.
Can you see that? Yeah, I already read it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for that. Okay, would you like to do one over again?
Okay, so going back to the first criteria, the variance will not be contrary to the public interest because it does not unduly or in a marked degree conflict with the ordinance such that it violates the ordinance's basic zoning objectives. It's proposed residential addition to a residential home in a residential zone and is therefore consistent with the subject property's zone. Further, the proposed addition and resulting dwelling, so that I mean by that like the total thing that will be there once this proposed addition is on it, is consistent with the essential character of the locality.
Is that, what is the addition?
So it's proposed to be, it's 16 by 22, so I believe 352 square feet. And one thing that I'll mention in this is, So the floor plan of the existing dwelling, it's 888 square feet on the main floor, and that's taken up by a kitchen and like a living area. So this proposed addition, what will probably go there is actually a first floor bedroom for the applicant. She has recently had surgery and has medical issues, so she's looking for a first floor bedroom, and there's no room in the existing floor plan to make that work. So that's kind of, I just wanted to mention, that's what's underlying this application.
If this is a bedroom, does it meet the state of New Hampshire water supply pollution control requirement for bedrooms?
So there will be no additional bedrooms or bathrooms added to this.
So you're gonna repurpose some of the other, okay.
Yeah, so it won't impact septic, won't impact, it'll still be 2-bed, 2-bath.
Alrighty.
So that is criteria number 1. So then going on to criteria number 2, please describe how the spirit of the ordinance is observed. The spirit is observed through the granting of this variance because the proposed addition is consistent with other uses and structures in the subject property's residential zone and is in keeping aesthetically and in terms of size with the essential character of the locality.
Okay.
Criteria 3, please explain how substantial justice is done. Substantial justice is done through the granting of this variance because when we apply the balancing act, the general public will realize no appreciable gain through the denial of the construction of the proposed addition, while the applicant will suffer significant loss by not being able to fully utilize and enjoy the property both now and in the future. To kind of elaborate, the general public will realize no appreciable gain because this again is residential in a residential zone and poses no health, safety, or welfare risk. So there's no adding on to, there's not going to be anything noxious or anything because it's just residential. But in contrast, the property owner again has medical issues and has had surgeries recently, and the addition will be a huge benefit to her standard of living now and in the future. Carolyn and her husband, they love that property, so they're going to be there for the foreseeable future. So having that first 4-bedroom for them just makes it really usable. Item 4, please describe how the values of surrounding properties are not diminished. They will not be diminished because the proposed addition is consistent in terms of size and style with surrounding dwellings, and it's going to be cohesive entirely with the existing structure. And what I mean by that is same siding, same everything, it'll look the same. Further, there'll be no noise, traffic, or environmental issues, and again, so therefore no values of surrounding properties are diminished. I would actually suggest they actually might go up a little bit, and overall town tax revenue will go up just by virtue of this being lakefront property, and there's going to be a good addition going on there. To criteria number 5, literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship. So item A, describing the special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area. It's a non-conforming lot, as Dan mentioned earlier, with significant topographical features. So the proposed location for the addition is the only realistic location in which to construct a reasonable addition for the property owner. It's shown on the maps, but I think, to me, I did a site walk and it really hit me when I went there in person. There's actually stairs that go down to the actual house because the topography is so steep. So where they're proposing to build is really nice and level, and it's really the only feasible place for them to put an addition. So then, owing to those special conditions identified, please indicate how the proposed use is a reasonable one. It's reasonable because it's a residential addition in a residential zone in keeping with the size, style, and function of surrounding dwellings. Further, the proposed use will likely be to create a first floor bedroom for the property owner who has physical and medical matters and would allow her to utilize and enjoy the property, which is certainly a goal of the ordinance. And one thing I'd like to mention, this was relatively recent, so it was not included in your application, but we did get in touch with the affected abutter to the north, and they're totally in favor of both this application and the proposed construction. There's no objection. They weren't able to make it tonight. And then moving on, I did do both sections of 5 just for completeness sake. So moving on to B, explaining the special conditions of the property. I'll take it really quick. It's just a non-conforming lot with significant topographical features, so this is the only realistic location in which to construct a reasonable addition. And then owing to the special conditions identified above, please indicate how the property can't reasonably used in strict conformance with the ordinance and a variance is necessary. So this is a special case where the subject property can't reasonably used by the specific property owner because she can't have access to a first floor bedroom without the addition, and due to her issues, she can't access second floor without great hardship. So because of that, in this case, the property can't be reasonably used as a single-family dwelling for the property owner. So that was the short and sweet version. Does anybody have any questions or want elaboration on any of those?
Any questions of the applicant?
No,
Is it none?
it's quite thorough.
Please have a seat.
Thank you.
Any approving abutters wish to speak? Disapproving abutters wish to speak? Public at large, other boards? Being none, you have an opportunity for a second time. Thank you.
No, I'm more than good. Sorry, guys. You've heard enough from me.
Okay, at this point, I don't have any conditions to put on this. Question one, prong one,
I'll make a motion to accept prong one.
thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion, being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. 2,
Move to accept prong 2.
I'll second that.
discussion, being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
5-0. 3,
I'll make a motion to accept prong three.
A second?
thank you. Discussion, being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0.
To accept
5 and a
Article 4.
complete, thank you.
Second.
Did somebody make a motion?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
He did, and I second.
thank you. And any discussion? Being none, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. You got it.
Thank you very much.
You do five.
We gotta do 5, sorry.
I thought we did 5.
No,
More.
one more.
We mu-
One more.
Okay,
I'll
sorry.
make a motion to accept prong five in its entirety.
A second?
Second.
Discussion? Being none, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
5-0.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much, and I appreciate your patience. Have a good evening.
It would have been fun.
We have the last one.
Just take those five.
This is for,
I didn't read her.
oh, the special exception. Okay, we have case 06-20, Frank Chen. And this is, you live on 844 Mass Ave, Lexington, Mass. 02420. Address being the same, property address 196 Kobe Road. Tax map lot number 412 168-10. Is there an N there?
No, I just,
Is that a typo?
I used to mark.
Okay. Looks like an N. 196 Kobe Road is situated on the west side of the Hughes Road. It has 10.12 acres, 103 frontage, 1690 feet on side, and rear is 300. Single-family log house with an in-law apartment. Oh, so you want to build this?
Yeah.
Okay. We are an extended family with 2 elderly in-law parents who live with us for a long time. My sister's family in Singapore also often visits and stays with us. Okay. before we, let's accept the application first. Motion to accept
Move to-
application.
Move to accept application 0620.
Thank you. Have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Okay, if you want to come up here before we start the thing, and just tell us what you got. You
Okay,
can come
I
up,
guess I need to-
Frank,
I
you
need
can
to
come
be
here.
Extra, yeah,
You can come here.
okay. I need
Lay
to-
your thing on the floor, on the,
Yeah, okay, fine, thank you. I'm gonna give it the extra introduction, and I look forward to become a member of this rural community. I know actually the Expo from Mass Avenue is my office address, and I'm a real estate investor, and I now live in the other corner.
you should be up there if you're going to speak.
Yeah.
What I want to do is have you describe on this diagram what you're asking for.
Yeah, I will get to that, okay.
You got to get up there so people can hear you.
microphones.
See, this doesn't do anything for us.
Oh, I see.
This does something for the recording
I
on
see.
TV.
Okay, so I want to introduce myself first, and I look forward to become a member of this rural community for my retirement. And my name is Frank Chen, and I the reason why I choose where, so I give everybody a whole picture, so you don't get lost where this guy is coming from. Am I the first Asian here in town?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe, or very few probably. And
We're residents.
yeah, and I own a bunch of properties in Henniker for the off-campus housing for the college there. So then that's why I choose this town as my future retirement home soon. And I always look forward to have affordable waterfront property, and I can afford those like Sunapee. And Jim Dow's land was for sale last year for $60,000, and I think I can build affordable home there. So that's the beginning of the whole story, why this guy is coming here. And so we propose now to build a log home. Now you want me to show you that? I can
Yeah. Bring yours up.
Yeah. Okay.
And just, the question I think we need to understand is,
Yeah.
on the floor plan, you have the actual floor plan? Where are you defining as your, how many square feet are you asking?
Our finished area is about 3,200 square feet, including the two bonus rooms on the top floor.
No. Where is the
In-law.
area for the in-law, the accessory apartment?
So the in-law apartment will be along the whole house from the outside. Will be this section. So one floor, one story section.
So where is that on
And
here?
so on the floor plan will be on this side here. So
It's the one that says guest room, guest kitchen.
yeah,
Guest kitchen.
Yeah, guest grill,
Guest
guest bedroom,
great
guest
room.
kitchen, guest kitchen dining room.
So this area here, this box right here?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have a square footage for that area?
Well, this area, I didn't calculate it, but we can do some rough calculation here.
Let me look at your, let me look at your,
By 24.
Yeah, about 26 by 26.
26 by,
Approximately 26, yeah.
26.4 by 24
Yeah.
is 633.
About 600.
and, good,
It's gonna be less than 750.
750.
right.
I was trying to remember, so it's 7:30 or 7:50.
Now,
No, I've been right here, I was
is there any,
magnifying glass.
and how do you enter in here? Just through the main building?
Got it here.
So the several entrance here. There's like a common server to go in. There's
Okay.
one door going to the guest grill,
Mhm.
and there's a common hallway going.
Mhm.
They go to the door, and you can also go in from outside, from the going to deck to the front deck, and go in here.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So there is a door connecting.
Yeah. Mike, you want to run it down through the question?
Absolutely. So for a special exception for accessory dwelling, there are, it looks like 8 conditions that have to be met. I'll just read through it. One accessory attached dwelling shall be permitted in a single-family dwelling residence in a residential zone and the rural agricultural zone by special exception from the zoning board of adjustments with these further stipulations. 19.1.10.1. An accessory dwelling unit shall be clearly incidental to the property use of the property for single dwelling, such as an accessory living space not to exceed 750 feet and not contain more than 2 bedrooms with a maximum occupancy per bedroom of not more than 2 people per bedroom. So the in-laws that you're intending to live there, just 2 of them per room.
Yeah. My sister will come, will be her husband and their one child.
An accessory dwelling unit shall either be constructed within or attached to the single-family dwelling, which we have in this case. At least one interior connecting door or other access for persons to pass between, which I believe I saw between, looks like the guest kitchen dining and a hallway there. Septic system design capacity shall be approved by New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. Since you're building a new building,
Yeah, that's already approved.
it's already taken care of. No new entrance or exit to the accessory dwelling unit shall be constructed facing the front of the single-family dwelling. Is there an exterior entrance to the guest?
You had to
Section.
really, like, on the sideway through the front porch, and then go into the porch, and then you go in that way. The main entrance of the building is on the great road on further side, down on the great road, the 2-story.
Since this is part of the initial design for the house, though, I would say it's not a new construction of an entrance. Is that consistent, or?
Let me read that again.
No new entrance or exit to an accessory dwelling unit shall be constructed facing the front of a single-family dwelling.
We're not really facing the front, we're facing the deck, the porch,
On the side.
the deck.
You're gonna be a resident living in this?
Yes, that would be so it's like a half an hour, I like bike a lot, so I bike from Boston to here a few times.
ADU has to be owner occupied.
Tommy?
ADU has to be owner occupied.
I'll just continue on with the last. 2 parking spaces shall be provided for an accessory dwelling unit, and no new curb cut from the street shall be constructed. I assume so with you had 10 acres, so parking's not a consideration. Exterior construction and materials shall be uniform with the single dwelling unit. It's all being constructed as new property, so that should not be an issue. And finally, either the accessory dwelling unit or the principal dwelling unit shall be the principal residence and legal domicile of the owner of the property. That was the one question that I had, and I think Jack was hitting on, was that you mentioned in your application it's a retirement home. You intend on living there once it's finished? Very good.
I
I
don't know.
guess,
Yeah.
more specifically, you're gonna be here more than half the year?
Yeah, most, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
that's the point. It's not a vacation home.
Yeah.
Those are the,
I think we understand it. Oh,
conditions.
maybe
So I have store on my Hanukkah property is one probably go as well. Yeah. But there's not any.
Okay. Everybody, thanks for doing that, because it took me a while. I gave up on it and figured I'd ask you. Okay,
I had it was in the market for a while, and then I didn't know that, but by the time I know it, they jumped to $60,000.
could you read us on this special exception? Read the question and read the answer.
By the way, retirement home, as a real estate investor, we basically will never retire, so, because we're going to manage the properties. And, so you know the purpose, okay? The underlying hereby requests a special exception as provided in Article, I don't know the number, section of the zoning ordinance. The following 7 conditions per Article 6, Section 6.1.4 of the zoning ordinance must be met in the positive to warrant the granting of a special exception. Question first. The specific site is an appropriate location for such a use or uses in terms of overall community development. This site is very isolated, overlooking the Hughes Pond and back into the Taos Conservation Land. You can see it from the street. And so I guess it's appropriate for a single-family home or with an accessory apartment. Second question, the proposed use will not adversely affect the neighborhood or should produce no significant reduction of real estate values in the neighboring area. The proposed use is still a residential single-family housing, not any commercial activities. The neighborhood's real estate value shouldn't be affected. It should help my immediate neighbor's value, if any, probably. Third, the proposed use will not be a nuisance or serious hazard to vehicular traffic or pedestrians. There shouldn't be no difference in the noise and or traffic pattern or pedestrian pattern to or from the house. The proposed use the proposed use will not cause an undue burden on town through the provisions of basic town services. The answer, it will not require any more services and or burden from the town. 5. Adequate off-street parking be provided if determined necessary by the zoning board of adjustment. It is a 10-acre lot with more spaces than anyone's need for parkings. We will have 3 cars. Question 6. A buffer may be required to screen neighboring use from the proposed use. Buffers may be fence screens, dense planting of suitable trees and shrubbery or naturally occurring shrubs and trees. I have no objections to this, but I don't see a need from my perspective and on my neighbor's perspective. It's very isolated. And I do go through my neighbor's shared driveway, which was already approved. And question 7, the zoning board of adjustment in granting any special exception may include such restrictions or conditions to ensure compliance with this section. I'm open to any discussions for any special needs.
Any questions for the applicant? Thank you. You gotta have a seat.
Okay.
Let's move real quick. Approving abutters? I see none. Disapproving abutters?
but then he said he has some emergency.
Disapproving abutters? I see none. Public at large? Other boards? Motion to,
No, that's the
that's
other.
ours. Motion to
That's ours.
motion to accept?
Move to accept the special exception.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Discussion.
Just one little thing, there's a typo at the date there that ought to be changed to 2020.
Good catch.
I don't see any need for any conditions on this.
And it's,
You?
and it's been at the
No,
end.
sir.
Well, I didn't.
Okay then. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Do we have minutes?
Okay, great, the stamped one, thank you.
We have minutes in our package?
I didn't see him.
I don't
I didn't
see
see
any.
any.
You're all set.
Thank you.
I look forward to coming here, and I already been to the bakery of 114 a lot, and my side is
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
And I figure out if there's no gold star, there's still a way I can take it.
Yeah, right on the line.
This one? Oh, that's yours. You gotta ask.
There's no minutes. I'm gonna turn this off.
Do we have any minutes?
Yes,
Oh, just wanna make sure.
I didn't bring your copies, there's.
Don't even print it
Got
out.
'em.
Me spend my hard-earned money
Remember, they didn't get
for
them by
Tona?
Oh, I don't know about email.
Eating cake.
Oh,
Well, you can read through it. It's riveting.
That's the typo.
Hey, my name's spelled right, so I'm good.
Is there a copy of the map?
I'm sorry. Oh, Take that back, my name's not spelled right.
It is on the first page.
On the first page, it is.
On the second page?
There's a couple of MYERs in that I'm catching, but
On the
My
second page.
nemesis, I'm so sorry.
On the second page, I think.
I've been called worse.
Oh.
So embarrassing.
from the construction. Let's go back.
Did we do the minutes for December? Did we have a meeting in December? We did them in January, didn't we?
We're all caught up except
Okay.
for. January, we rescheduled because I was at the hospital with my husband. I wasn't able to make it, but you canceled it anyway, so.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
That's right, too.
That was Chuck Bolton, but he came.
That's right, too.
Right. He wanted to revise his application.
Did we, on this case with the side setback, I thought we gave them a specific
I believe we did, too.
footage, and I'm not seeing it. I may just be missing it, though.
Did he ask for X? We gave him X?
He was,
Oh, the garage, Timpson.
yeah, it was a 20 by 40
Yeah.
garage.
Yes, there was a specific. I can
Uh,
email that number to Courtney tomorrow.
Yes, yes.
That's probably
My Boyce Road on Concord Stage.
Yeah.
I made it part of the notice of decision, so I can email that to Courtney tomorrow.
Okay, that's
If you would like that in the minutes,
It should be.
remind me
And what are you gonna tell me?
tomorrow. The exact setback for
Okay.
Timpson.
And that should be in
It was
the
in.
meetings for this case too, 11 feet. The 11-foot setback for the case we heard tonight
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
I have
is it,
that
it's
in
11 point something.
11.2, and then we approved, I think, 11 even, no closer than 11 feet.
Just recently,
The one
I
tonight,
asked no closer than 11 feet. He wanted 11.4.
I think it's 11.2.
It was 11.4.
Yeah.
Just round it up, round it down, or whatever. Okay, we good with the minutes?
move
Motion
to
to accept minutes?
move to accept the February 4th, 2020
Thank you.
minutes as
As amended.
Second?
amended.
We have a second?
I'll second.
No, thank you. Woke up Gary. All those, discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Whoops,
Abstention.
you scared her.
It's 11 feet to now.
Motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Aye.
And you're gonna send the notice of
We are adjourned.
exact number.